All right. The cycling season has begun up here in Hokkaido. So far, I have 2 rides under my belt, so it's going to be nice to start burning off the winter pudge. I haven't been out for anything huge yet. In total, I think I'm just 55 kilometers into the season, but who cares? We are underway. But before I get into the rides, I got to give a shout out to Manitoba, Canada. Thanks a lot to whoever tuned into the show in Manitoba. And a huge thanks to the Seek Travel Ride podcast for the shout out in their episode From Delhi to the Himalayas by Bike. Do you guys ever listen to that podcast? That's well, I think it goes without saying, that's a much bigger, wider reaching podcast than this one by a long shot. So I'm stoked that Bella Molloy gave me a shout out on her pod. But that show is just excellent. There is just amazing stories from around the world there. So again, just a huge thank you for the ups on this podcast. Thank you. Okay, folks, the rides. The first rides of the year for me here. The first ride I did was just a little kind of a 10-kilometer exploratory ride. I just kind of wanted to see what's open and what's not right now. Well, all the main roads look to be perfectly clear and dry. Even the bike lanes look like they're open. But one thing you really have to be careful about with riding this early in the season here in Hokkaido is the debris. I mean, you've got things like broken glass, nails, screws, pieces of cars that are on the roads after the snowbanks thaw. I'm always amazed at how much broken glass there is in the spring. But I guess just the huge snowbanks as they get piled up, as plows come through, I guess the snowbanks just accumulate all the garbage throughout the whole winter, and the thaw just reveals it all, and it can be pretty nasty out there. Watch where you're going. Try to keep an eye on the actual road as well, so you're not picking up all kinds of nails and stuff in your tires. I've done that in previous years in the spring. It's kind of a weird thing that it's so they'll have street sweepers come along, but the roads are so full of garbage in the spring. It's kind of shocking, and I honestly don't know where all the broken glass comes from. It's an odd thing. And by the way, folks, the thaw this year is happening very, very quickly. I don't think I've ever ridden as early as March 2nd before. I did a January ride one year, but that was a bit special. We were having a really light winter with the snow. But yeah, folks, here in Hokkaido, the roads are all open and dry, but a lot of the cycling paths and trails like that seem to be closed. I don't know about that very popular Kita Hiroshima cycling road. I haven't been out that way yet. But things of that nature up here in and around Ishikari are still impassable. And folks, I know over the past couple of weeks, some friends have sent me videos of people riding in winter and asking what my excuse is. Now, yes, I see videos. I don't need people to send me those videos. I see them on Instagram, YouTube. I see them myself, folks. But some real cheeky buggers out there sending me them. What's your excuse? And hey, folks, don't get me wrong. I agree. Those people riding all through winter are awesome. A bit unhinged, but awesome nonetheless. But to be honest, I also think it takes a pretty specific set of circumstances to make a winter ride happen. Like some areas of South Hokkaido, sure, very, very rideable all winter long. I mean, even like Mururan, Noboribetsu, where my in-laws are from, very, very rideable. Hakodate, Yakumo, that area, all very, very rideable all winter long. I think some areas of Sapporo, I know a friend of mine in Chuoku, from time to time, he'll through midwinter, he'll say, I could have ridden today. So There are even spots in Sapporo that are rideable. But up here in Ishikari, I, man, I just don't know how I could get the bike out of my neighborhood. Now, sure, okay, I suppose I could load the bike into the van and drive somewhere to ride, but just the sheer amount of snow we get up here just makes it a different thing. I don't know how many meters fell, but I mean, how many days did we have of 50 plus snowfall? 50 centimeters plus of snowfall, sorry. It was just constant this past winter. Now, okay, don't get me wrong. I know you've still got guys cycling up Tene in winter with snowboards strapped to their backs, but again, just getting out of my neighborhood would be a trick. I'd have to dig out the shed. I've dug out the shed almost every year except for this one. Again, I'm still kind of worried. Well, not worried, just my arm is not fully healed yet. I've had my last physiotherapy session for it. Again, I've said it time and time again, it just needs time and rest. So I'm also not playing hockey at the moment. But anyway, that's why I did not dig out my shed this year, because I want my arm rested and ready to go. But I did just kind of pull the bike out of the shed and kind of lift it up over the snow. It wasn't that big a deal. I didn't have to do the big trench digging like I usually do. But anyway, that's okay. So winter cycling, it's just something I don't do. And sorry, folks, if that started to sound like I was whining. Don't misunderstand, folks. I'm not whining about it. I'm not complaining about it. Yes, to the friends that have sent videos of winter riders asking what my excuse is, har, har, har. Very funny. Yeah, yes, it's, I just don't ride in winter. It's, I don't know. The neighborhood just will not allow, will not allow it. Oh, dear. Anyways, folks, so the roads are mostly open. Cycling paths and the like are still covered. And now I say the roads are mostly open because yesterday I went for a bit of a bigger ride. Yesterday that would have been the 3rd. I record these on Wednesdays in case you haven't heard me say that before. But I wanted to go see if the Tundra Swans were here in Ishikari yet. Much of Hokkaido is on the Tundra Swans migratory pattern. So when the snow on the rice paddies melts, the tundra swans hang out here for a couple of weeks, feeding on the insects in the water and whatever leftover rice they can find and other vegetation in the ponds. I've talked about them a few times on the pod before, but in case you haven't heard, the tundra swans spend the winter kind of farther south in Japan, and when we see them here in the spring, they're heading to Arctic tundra they're heading to the Arctic tundra of northeastern Siberia. But yeah, Hokkaido is an important refueling stop for them. If you're riding in the spring, there's a great chance you will see the tundra swans. It's pretty cool. But again, Hokkaido has lots of feeding opportunities for them in agricultural fields here that turn into kind of shallow wetlands when the snow melts. And again, I make an effort to go see them every year. It's really cool when you come across a rice paddy that's not anything right now. Again, it really is just a wetlands where there's just thousands of those tundra swans hanging out, and the sound they make is really cool. It's an annual thing I like to go see. But it's still obviously a bit early because I did not see any. And also the farm road, one of the farm roads that goes through the rice paddies that I love to ride through was still impassable. So I couldn't really get to the rice paddies where I like to see them. But they weren't flying around or anything, so that they're not here. This road I like to ride to see the swans, See, nobody actually lives on that road, so I guess there's no need to clear it of snow yet. I mean, I guess as long as the farmers don't need to get any farm equipment through it, so why bother plowing it? So I guess it's going to be, maybe another week or two before I'm riding through snow-covered rice paddies to see the Tundra Swans. They will be here. They are here every year, and it's a really cool sight to see. If you're riding in spring in Hokkaido, try to get through some farmland. Try to get through some, particularly rice paddies. Try to get through rice paddies where the Tundra Swans hang out in the spring. It's cool to see. And just in case you were wondering what their Latin name is, they are called Cygnus columbianus. And they're also known as Bewick's swan. Bewick's swan, that's... I'm not like a Bewick, not like doing the Monty Python skit with the biggest dickus and all that. But Bewick is spelled B-E-W-I-C apostrophe S, Bewick's swan, named after the researcher who kind of found out that they're a subspecies. The Bewick swan is actually the more precise name for them, as they are, as I just said, a subspecies of tundra swan. But most people just use tundra swan here. In Japanese, they're called kohakucho. Really, really cool looking birds. And when you see them in those great numbers, it's cool. But again, as I said, it's still a little bit early up here. And that road I really like to go see just is not open yet. But it wasn't that big a deal for my ride yesterday because I still got through tons of farmland, which is really cool. It's all very, very bleak right now. But who cares? The season is underway, and I am really looking forward to seeing all the wildlife, all the nature, and seeing what kind of awesome humans I can meet out there on the road. I would have ridden today, but this morning, Wednesday morning, we had quite a bit of snowfall going on up here in Hokkaido. See, people put the hex on it. People say, no, winter's coming to an end. It's over, it's over. You do not know what weather you're going to get in March up here, folks. But having had a couple of nice days, I actually broke out the barbecue. I don't know what it is. I'm sure if you live in a snowy country, if you're in Canada, Hokkaido, all through Northern Europe, I am sure you have had a winter barbecue before. I don't know what it is, but isn't there just something so satisfying about a winter barbecue? What is it? The stillness in the air, the crisp, cold air, breathing that in and out feels good. I mean, sure, you get really cold, but again, it's just one of those things where you feel really alive just being out there. And I've been barbecuing venison. Again, a friend of mine a couple of months back brought me up some Hokkaido venison that he himself shot down near Yakumo. And man, when I'm sitting out there, you know, you've got a can of Sapporo Classic or whatever it is, the one. What's the one? Hokkaido? What's it called? One of the Sapporo beers is only brewed up here in Hokkaido. I think it's Sapporo Hokkaido, isn't it? Anyway, I can't remember. Sitting outside in the cold with Hokkaido venison on the barbecue, the sound of grease dripping into the fire, the whole thing of it, it just feels like such a really excellent Hokkaido experience. I love sitting out there. And right now, with the garden being full of snow, you know, I'm kind of just sitting out front on my front steps barbecuing. I love a winter barbecue. It's a lot of fun. And folks, here's one thing I have not done in a long time on the podcast. Here is your historical fact for the week. Do you remember? There was quite a spread of time there with a lot of kind of the middle episodes of the podcast. I kind of opened the show with a historical fact. Well, I found one that I thought was pretty interesting for this week. On March 9th, 1886, the American Dr. William S. Clark, founder of the Sapporo Agricultural College, which is now Hokkaido University, died. I don't know, that it just popped up somewhere on one of my devices, or I think it was that calendar. I can't remember where I saw it, but March 9th, 1886, Dr. Clark died. Folks, if you have spent any time here in Hokkaido, you have most likely heard his name or seen his image. Maybe you've heard his famous words, "Boys, be ambitious." A super famous part of the whole culture of Hokkaido. Now, if you aren't really familiar with him, let me tell you. He was an American educator and agricultural scientist. At one time, he was the president of the Massachusetts Agricultural College, which is now UMass Amherst. But in 1876, during Japan's modernization in the Meiji era, he was invited to help establish the Sapporo Agricultural College. Now, folks, this blew me away. He was only in Hokkaido for 8 months. He was only in Hokkaido for 8 months. What a legacy. He is just a super famous person. His image, his words, my God, there are statues up to him all over the place. You can't escape his image. Like, Jesus, I've been here for 27 years. Where's my statue? But Dr. Clark, he helped design the agricultural curriculum. He introduced modern Western farming science. I mean, here in Hokkaido, agriculture, next to tourism, agriculture is by far the biggest industry. So his is obviously a very long-lasting legacy. And again, you've probably heard his famous quote, "Boys, be ambitious." But maybe you don't know the full version. They clipped it. The full version is apparently, "Boys, be ambitious, not for money or selfish aggrandizement, not for that evanescent thing which men call fame, but for the attainment of all that a man ought to be." Woo-hoo. Deep words from the doc, eh? Old Billy Clark wasn't messing around there, was he? And ladies, back in those days, sorry, there just weren't girls at the Sapporo Agricultural College. That's why he directed it to boys. I guess he wasn't too woke back in those days, was he? But, all right, anyway. Now, whether or not that full quote is totally accurate apparently is debatable, but the hot clip, "Boys, be ambitious," lives on, and it is all over the place up here in Hokkaido. Then, if you want a really cool, iconic picture of Sapporo, go check out Hitsujigaoka Observation Hill. That's where the statue of Dr. Clark is, and it's one of Hokkaido's most photographed landmarks. A few years back, I got a picture of me with my bike beside Dr. Clark. You know the image I'm talking about, right? This is where Dr. Clark has his right arm extended dramatically to the west. You see that image everywhere, but I got to admit, until I was putting together this episode of the pod, I did not realize that he was only in Japan for 8 months. My God. You'd think he lived his entire life here the way, he's literally put up on a pedestal. But again, I guess he was just that important in bringing modern farming techniques to a rapidly changing Japan. And his legend, kind of symbolically represents, frontier spirit, education, modernization, obviously ambition. It's like everything Hokkaido is about is embodied in that statue. It's pretty cool, I guess, I guess we all need heroes, right? Even Hokkaido. And I know, I always ask you guys to get in touch if you're coming to Hokkaido, and I really appreciate it when you do. I got to give a shout out to Dan L. Johnson, who is going to be in Hokkaido at some point this year. Hey, I hope we can get some kilometers in together. If you want to come on the show, let's see if we can make that happen. Folks, any of you out there, I'd love to have you on the show. Get in touch and let's make it happen. One of the best things about being out on the road is meeting people. I love hearing all your stories. So, folks, not only that, but you'll be doing me a huge favor if you could hammer that subscribe button. Leave me a kind review, and I would love to talk to as many of you as possible in 2026. So, folks, the season is officially underway. I hope you're all well and having fun out there. Love ya. Cycling to Hokkaido!